The outer edge of the galaxy was a place of silence and shadows. Stars were fewer here, and the black between them seemed endless. The Galactic Empire rarely sent ships this far out. There were no colonies, no trade routes, no known life. Only an occasional patrol came through just to mark that this space still belonged to the Empire. Most crews saw it as a punishment assignment. They expected nothing but empty scans and long hours. The patrol ship Vornax 12 drifted slowly through. This quiet region, its hull reflected faint light from a dying star nearby. Inside the command deck, Captain Raylan sat in his chair with his eyes fixed on the main display. He had been in the Navy for 20 years, but this was the most uneventful posting of his career. His crew felt the same. Some chatted in low voices. Others stared at monitors, half awake. A young sensor officer named Mira leaned over her console. She had been scanning the same sector for hours. Suddenly her hands froze above the controls. A faint signal appeared on her screen. It was small, at first, almost too weak to notice, but it grew stronger with every second. Mira straightened her back. "Captain," she said, trying to keep her voice calm, "I have an unknown contact, Sector 47 Gamma." Raylan turned his head slowly, expecting another false alarm. "Distance? 1.2 light hours. Large mass. Moving toward us at high speed." Now the captain sat up fully. A fast-moving large object in this region was rare. Almost impossible. He walked to her station and studied the readings. The mass estimate climbed higher. It was already larger than any civilian ship. The speed was astonishing, far above the safe limit for most Imperial designs. "Helm! Adjust course to intercept," Raylan ordered. "Communications, send a standard hail." The crew became more alert. Conversations stopped. The low hum of the ship's systems filled the room. Outside, Vornax 12 shifted its heading, pushing forward through the black void. Minutes passed. The object slowed down. Then it stopped completely, hanging in space like a dark mountain. At this range, its outline became clear on the display. It was enormous, over 3 kilometers long with a strange, uneven surface. No bright markings, no shining metal. It looked like something built for war, but unlike any warship the Empire had ever seen. "Identification?" Raylan asked. "None," Mira replied. "Not in any Imperial database. Hull composition unknown. Energy readings unstable but extremely high." The comms officer tried again to send a hail. No response. Static hissed in the speakers. The warship did not send any signal back, not even the automated beacon that all known ships carried. "It is just sitting there," the helm officer said quietly, "like it is watching us." Raylan felt a slow weight in his chest. He had seen dangerous ships before, but this one was different. Its silence felt deliberate, as if it had nothing to prove. It was not hiding. It was simply there, dominating the empty space. "Bring us to a full stop," he ordered. "Maintain distance. Keep scanning." The crew worked in tense silence. The more they scanned, the less sense the readings made. The hull was made from an unknown alloy, stronger than anything in the Empire's records. Energy output from the ship's core was massive, greater than the combined reactors of 10 Imperial battleships. Yet the strange vessel was idle, not aiming weapons or moving closer. An hour passed. The crew's tension only grew. Raylan sent a secure message to Central Command, reporting the contact. The reply came back quickly. Hold position, keep observing, and wait for reinforcements. Then something unexpected happened. Without any visible movement, the strange warship turned slightly, aligning its massive hull so its front faced Vornax 12. Every screen on the Imperial ship flickered. The crew heard a deep sound in the comms channel, a sound like a low hum followed by a short burst of static. That was not random noise, Mira said. It had structure, like a signal. The communications officer replayed it, slowing it down. Under the static, there were tones, short, long, short, repeating in a pattern. They were too regular to be natural. Someone or something was trying to speak. "Can we translate it?" Raylan asked. "Not yet," the comms officer replied. "But I think they are repeating the same phrase." As they listened, the tones came again, this time clearer. The warship had increased its signal strength. The sound filled the deck like a slow heartbeat. The crew exchanged nervous glances. They could feel something in the air, an unspoken knowledge that this moment was unlike anything they had experienced before. "Captain, you should see this," Mira said from her station. On her screen, a new reading appeared. The warship's outer hull was beginning to emit faint light along certain lines, shapes and markings glowing in an icy blue color. As the light spread, it formed symbols. None of them matched Imperial writing. They were sharp, angular, yet somehow familiar, as if taken from an ancient script. Raylan's mind raced. He had heard of ancient artifacts found in the core worlds, relics from long-forgotten civilizations. Some scholars believed there had once been species far older than the Empire, species that could build wonders beyond modern science. But no one had ever found a living example. Until now. The strange vessel sent another burst of tones. This time the comms officer caught a word. It was not from the Imperial language, yet it sounded clear. It was a name. Not a name of a place or ship, but a word that felt like it belonged to a people. Human, the comms officer said softly. The word hung in the air, heavy and strange. Some of the older crew looked unsettled. They had heard the old legends, stories told by scholars and wanderers about a species called humans. According to myth, humans had once ruled parts of the galaxy long before the Empire was born. They were said to be fierce, clever, and impossible to defeat in battle. Then, without warning, they had disappeared. No one knew where they had gone or why. Now, in the cold, dark edge of space, a ship larger and stronger than anything the Empire had seen was sitting directly in front of them, broadcasting that ancient name. The tension on the deck grew thicker. Raylan could feel the eyes of his crew waiting for his decision. Every instinct told him to retreat, but his orders were to observe. He could not back down now. "Maintain position," he said quietly. "Do not provoke them." The massive warship stayed. Still, its glowing symbols casting a ghostly light into the black void. The tones kept repeating, slow and steady, as if the ship was patient, as if it knew the Empire would have no choice but to answer. In the far distance, new signals appeared, Imperial reinforcements on their way, but Captain Raylan could not shake. the feeling that no number of ships would change what had already begun. The galaxy had been quiet here for thousands of years. Now, something ancient had returned, and the Empire was not ready. The huge warship stayed in place, its dark hull like a shadow against the stars. The glowing blue lines along its surface pulsed slowly, as if the ship itself was breathing. On Vornax 12, the crew kept watching, waiting for a change. Captain. Raylan kept his eyes on the main display. Reinforcements were still an hour away. The tension inside the command deck felt like a weight pressing on everyone's chest. The strange signal came again. Short tones, long tones, repeating. The comms officer was trying to break the pattern into smaller parts. Slowly, the sound became more than noise. They could hear fragments of words. Some were still unclear, but the word human stood out. Each time. "Captain," the comms officer said, "I think they are trying to teach us their language. They repeat the same words again and again. It is slow, like they want us to understand." Raylan nodded. "Keep recording. See if we can. Match any of it to old records." The young sensor officer, Mira, kept scanning the warship's surface. Her screen filled with strange readings. "Their hull is doing something unusual," she said. "I see small energy surges moving across the outer plates. It is like they are shifting the shape slightly, but I can't explain how." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Every time they thought they understood one detail about this ship, another mystery appeared. It was not just more advanced than anything in the Empire, it was different in a way that made Imperial science feel small. Minutes passed. The warship finally moved. Not fast, but enough to make every officer on the Vornax 12 lean forward in their seats. It was turning, slowly aligning itself so its front faced the patrol ship directly. The view on the main display showed the massive surface coming into perfect line. The effect was intimidating. Even without firing a shot, the warship looked like it could erase them from existence in an instant. "Helm! Hold position!" Raylan ordered. "No sudden movements!" The comms channel came alive again. This time, instead of tones, there was a deep, clear voice. It spoke in the same slow rhythm, each word separated by a pause. At first it was completely foreign, but then, on the third repeat, the voice used the word imperial. The pronunciation was strange but recognizable. "They know who we are," Mira whispered. The thought made the crew shiver. This was not some wandering alien ship. Whoever commanded it knew about the Galactic Empire, and had chosen to reveal themselves here, in the empty edge of space. "Comms," Raylan said. "Send a peaceful response. Use the simplest words. Offer no threats." The comms officer nodded and sent a short message, identifying Vornax 12 and stating that they were a patrol ship on a peaceful mission. They ended with a request for identification. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the deep voice spoke again, still slow, but now with more familiar words mixed in. "We are human. We return." The voice stopped. The channel went quiet. Mira leaned closer to her console. "Captain, I am detecting a sudden burst of data from their ship. Encrypted, but directed at our systems." "Block it for now," Raylan said sharply. "We do not know what it is." The comms officer hesitated. "It does not look like an attack. It could be language files or a translation program." Raylan thought for a moment. "Let it through, but isolate it from our main network, the SOTS. Data was stored in a separate system." Within seconds, the translation program started working, matching human words to Imperial standard. The result was not perfect, but it was enough to make simple conversation possible. The voice came again, now much clearer. "We are human. We seek contact. We bring no harm if you bring no harm." The command deck went silent. This was the first confirmed contact with a human in recorded Imperial history. Even the Emperor himself had only read about them in ancient myths. Raylan spoke slowly into the comms. "This is Captain Raylan of the Imperial Navy, ship Vornax 12. We acknowledge your message. You are in Imperial space. Why have you come here?" Pause followed long enough that the crew began to wonder if they would answer at all. Then the voice returned. "We have returned from far beyond. We have seen the galaxy change. We come to speak. We come to warn." The word warn made every officer straighten. The humans had not come here for random contact. They had a purpose, and if the myths were even half true, that purpose could shake the Empire. Before Raylan could ask more, a second signal appeared on their sensors. Imperial reinforcements were arriving, a small formation of 3 cruisers. Their captain hailed Vornax 12, demanding a report. Raylan gave a short version of events, but advised caution. The other captain, a more aggressive officer named Darren, was already suspicious. "We should demand they power down weapons and prepare for boarding," Darren said over the channel. "If they refuse, we will act." Raylan shook his head. "Do not provoke them. You have not seen what this ship can do." But Darren did not listen. The 3 cruisers moved into a tighter formation and began powering their weapons. The human warship remained still. Its glowing lines brightened slightly, but it made no move to attack. Then, without warning, all 3 cruisers lost power. Their engines went dark. Their weapon systems shut down. The lights on their hulls faded, leaving them drifting in space like dead metal. Raylan's crew stared at their monitors in shock. "They disabled them," Mira said, her voice barely above. A whisper. "No explosions, no visible weapons, just off." The comms channel opened again. The human voice spoke, calm and steady. "We bring no harm if you bring no harm, but we are ready." The disabled cruisers began to power up again, systems slowly coming back online. The human ship had returned control without causing damage. It was a warning, and it was impossible to ignore. Darren's voice came back over the Imperial channel, shaken but trying to sound firm. "Captain Raylan, I understand your caution now. I will hold position." The human ship remained silent after that, as if waiting. Raylan could feel the moment stretching longer and longer. He knew this was only the beginning. The Empire had been the strongest force in the galaxy for centuries, but this meeting proved there was something far older, far stronger, and far more confident in its power. Raylan sent a secure report to the Emperor's council. The message was short, but heavy with meaning. Contact had been made with the humans. They were back, and they were not afraid. The glowing lines on the human warship faded slowly until the ship became a dark shadow again. Yet its presence filled the space more than any light could. The crew of Vornax 12 knew that the galaxy would soon change. The Empire might have thought itself ready for any enemy, but this was not an enemy they had prepared for. The secure transmission from Captain Raylan's patrol ship reached the Imperial capital in less than an hour. The Emperor's council gathered in the High Hall, a vast chamber filled with marble columns and shining walls. Around a long black table sat 12 of the Empire's most powerful officials, generals, admirals, scholars, and ministers. The mood was tense. Even before the report was read, they had already heard whispers. Something ancient had returned. Grand Minister Selor, a thin man with sharp eyes, began reading the report. His voice was steady at first, but the weight of the words grew heavier as he continued. The words "human warship" made the chamber fall silent. When he read the part about disabling 3 Imperial cruisers without damage, some council members exchanged uneasy glances. "This is not a random alien ship," Selor said, lowering the report. "It is exactly as the old legends described. If true, then the humans are far beyond our technology." The Emperor, an older man with silver hair and a calm but commanding presence, sat at the head of the table. His voice was deep but controlled. "Legends are often exaggerated. We will confirm the truth before we act. Scholar Marin, what do we know of these humans?" A tall woman in scholar's robes stood. She was the head of the Imperial Historical Archives, one of the few people in the galaxy who had spent her life studying ancient myths. "Your Majesty," she said, "the humans are known to us only from fragments. The earliest records are over 5,000 years old. They speak of a people who expanded faster than any other species, building fleets and colonies in every direction. The stories claim they were unmatched in strategy and invention." General Auric, a broad-shouldered man in black armor, frowned. "And yet they vanished. If they were so strong, how could they disappear?" "That," Marin replied, "is the greatest mystery. Some believe they fought a war so large that both sides were destroyed. Others think they left the galaxy entirely. A few of our oldest records say they simply walked away, leaving behind empty worlds and silent stations." Selor leaned forward. "Are there any confirmed artifacts?" "Very few," Marin admitted. "One of our core museums keeps a fragment of metal said to be from a human ship. It is small, no larger than a hand, but it has never rusted or degraded. Our best scientists have failed to reproduce its material. We also have star maps showing routes that no other species could have traveled safely at the time." The Emperor's fingers tapped lightly on the armrest of his chair. "And their reputation?" Marin hesitated. "They were feared. The records say that when a human fleet entered a system, the battle was decided before the first shot, not because of numbers, but because of precision and adaptability. They could win with smaller forces. They could learn an enemy's weakness in hours and use it against them. The only thing more feared than their ships was their patience. They could wait for years before striking." A murmur ran through the council. The idea that such a people had returned was both exciting and dangerous. The Empire had ruled unchallenged for centuries. Now something older and stronger had appeared without warning. The Emperor looked at Admiral Kevar, commander of the Central Fleet. If these legends are even half true, how should we respond? Kevar's expression was serious. Your Majesty, we should avoid direct conflict at all costs until we understand their intentions. The patrol captain was wise to hold his fire. If they can disable our cruisers without visible weapons, they can destroy us with ease. Sailor raised an eyebrow. And if they come as conquerors? Then, Kevar said simply, we will lose. The words hung in the air like a shadow. No one liked to hear them, but no one argued. The demonstration against the cruisers was proof enough. The Emperor turned back to Scholar Marin. Dig deeper. I want every scrap of history about the humans, no matter how obscure. If they have returned, we must know why. Marin bowed. I will begin at once. There are sealed records in the lower archives that may hold more details. Some of them have not been opened in centuries. As the council dispersed, Marin went to work. She descended into the lower levels of the Imperial Library, a place few ever saw. These archives were dimly lit, their walls lined with old crystal storage units. The air smelled faintly of dust and metal. She activated one of the older systems and began searching for anything tagged with the human name. Hours passed. Piece by piece, a clearer picture formed. The oldest record she found was a war diary from an alien admiral who had fought the humans. His words described battles that turned without warning, fleets that vanished only to appear again in unexpected places, and weapons that worked in ways he could not explain. He called the humans the storm that waits. She also found an Imperial exploration log from long ago, telling of abandoned human worlds. These planets were strange. Perfect cities with no people, power still running, machines still working, as if their owners had stepped away only yesterday. No signs of battle, no signs of disease, just empty. The most unsettling record was a sealed letter written by an imperial ruler from over 4,000 years ago. It spoke of a meeting between a human leader and the Empire. The humans had warned of a threat beyond the galactic rim, something that consumed entire civilizations. The letter ended with a chilling note. They said they would return when the time was near. Marin read the line again and again. Could this be why they were here now? If so, then whatever was coming might be worse than anything in the empires. History. She carried her findings to the Emperor the next morning. The council gathered again to hear her report. She placed the ancient letter on the table. Your Majesty, she said, this is no coincidence. They said they would return when danger approached. If their words were true, then the humans are not here to conquer. They are here because something else is coming. The room fell silent. Even the most skeptical members could feel the weight of the moment. The Emperor's expression did not change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Then we will speak with them, he said at last. But we will do so carefully. If they are as powerful as the records suggest, then their warning must be heard. Prepare an envoy. At the edge of the galaxy, the human warship still waited, silent and still. It had made no move to leave. Captain Rollin remained on watch, knowing that the next words spoken between them and the Empire could decide the future of the galaxy. Far above the dark hull of the human ship, a faint light flickered, like a signal waiting to be answered. The Imperial envoy ship Solaris glided through the quiet edge of space, its silver hull reflecting the pale light of distant stars. It carried no heavy weapons, only basic defenses. Its mission was not to fight, but to speak. Inside the command deck, Envoy Talric adjusted his formal robe and looked at the display showing the human warship ahead. The massive vessel hung in space like a dark mountain, silent and unshaken by the presence of Imperial ships around it. Captain Raylan's Vornax 12 was still nearby, standing watch. The cruisers that had been disabled earlier now kept a safe distance. Their crews wary of provoking the strange ship again, Talric had studied the reports carefully. He knew that one wrong word or movement could end this meeting before it began. "Bring us closer," Talric said to his pilot. "Slowly, no sudden turns." The Solaris moved forward, closing the gap between them and the human vessel. As they approached, the dark surface of the warship seemed to change. Faint lines glowing blue along its hull, forming patterns like rivers of light. The crew of the Solaris watched in silence. Even the hum of the engines felt too loud. "Open a channel," Talric ordered. The comms officer activated the link. A deep voice came through immediately, as if the humans had been waiting. "Imperial, vessel, you may speak." Talric took a steady breath. "This is Envoy Talric of the Galactic Empire. We greet you in peace. May I know the name of the one I address?" A short pause followed, then the voice replied, calm but strong. "I am Commander John. I speak for my people." The translation program carried his words clearly, though his tone carried something the program could not change. A quiet authority, like someone who had seen centuries of war and victory. Talric kept his voice respectful. "Commander John, our history speaks of your kind as a people of great skill and power. The Empire believed you gone for thousands of years. Why do you return now?" The reply came without hesitation. "We have watched from far beyond the edges of your maps. We saw the galaxy change. We saw empires rise and fall. We did not return until now, because the time was not yet right. But the time has come. There is danger ahead." Talric's heart beat faster. This matched what Scholar Marin had told the Council about the old warning. "What danger do you speak of?" "There is a force moving toward this galaxy," John said. "They are called the Vexar. They strip entire worlds bare. They do not speak. They do not reason. They only consume. We fought them once, long ago, and drove them back beyond the void. But they have returned, and they will not stop." The command deck of the Solaris was silent. Every officer listened closely. The idea of an enemy that could threaten both the humans and the Empire was unsettling. Talric knew the Council would demand proof, but he also knew the humans might not be willing to waste time convincing them. "You say they are coming," Talric said carefully. "How soon?" "They are already in motion," John replied. "Within 2 Imperial years, they will reach your border systems. If you are not ready, they will sweep across your space faster than your fleets can respond." Talric thought quickly. If this was true, then the Empire had far less time than it needed to prepare. But it was also possible this was a way for the humans to gain influence. He had to be cautious. "What do you want from us?" Talric asked. John's voice did not change. "We want nothing from you except readiness. We will fight the Vexar, but we cannot guard the entire galaxy alone. The Empire must decide whether it will stand with us or watch from the sidelines until it is too late." Talric studied the display showing the human warship. Even without weapons active, it radiated a quiet confidence. If these humans were truly as advanced as the stories claimed, then their help could decide the war. But if they had other motives, then trusting them could be dangerous. "Commander John," Talric said, "the Emperor's Council will want to meet you directly. Will you allow Imperial representatives aboard your ship?" There was another pause, longer this time. "You may come aboard," John said finally, "but only a small group. We will not risk large armed parties on our vessel." Talric agreed. The pilot adjusted course, guiding the Solaris toward a large hangar opening that appeared on the human ship's side. The blue glow along the hull shifted, outlining the hangar like a doorway of light. As the envoy ship entered, the crew could see towering walls and vast open space inside, large enough to hold multiple Imperial cruisers. When the Solaris landed, the boarding ramp lowered. Talric stepped out with 2 aides and no weapons. The hangar floor was smooth and dark, lit by faint blue strips that seemed to shine from beneath the surface. Waiting for them were 6 humans in dark uniforms, each standing tall and silent. At their center stood Commander John. He looked older than Talric expected, with sharp features and steady eyes. His uniform was plain, without excessive decoration, but the way the others stood behind him made it clear he was the one in command. "Welcome," John said. His voice in person carried the same calm power as over the comms. "We have much to discuss." Talric bowed slightly. "The Empire thanks you for receiving us. I will listen to what you wish to share." John led them through wide corridors, with walls that shimmered faintly, as if alive with hidden energy. The air inside the ship was cool and carried a faint metallic scent. As they walked, Talric noticed there were no visible weapons along the walls, no guards stationed at intersections. It was as if the humans trusted their ship itself to defend them. They reached a large chamber with a central table surrounded by display panels. A map of the galaxy hovered above the table, its stars glowing softly. John touched a point beyond the Empire's borders. The image expanded, showing a cluster of systems Talric had never seen before. "This is where the Vexar have appeared," John said. "Our scouts engaged them here. We destroyed their forward fleet, but they will send more. Their numbers are endless if unchecked." Talric studied the map. "Why not fight them at their source?" "We tried," John answered. "Their home is not a place we can reach easily. It lies beyond the void between galaxies, where navigation is treacherous. They build in the dark and send their forces forward like a flood." Talric understood the seriousness in his voice. This was not a distant problem. If the humans had fought them before and returned now, then the danger must be real. "We will take this message to the Emperor," Talric said. "But the Council will ask why the humans care. The Empire's fate is not your responsibility." John's gaze was steady. "The Vexar will not stop with you. If you fall, the next galaxy will follow. We learned long ago that survival is not only about our own kind. The stronger we are together, the longer we endure." Talric gave a slow nod. He realized then that this was not just a meeting between two powers. It was the start of something far larger. Whether the Empire accepted it or not, the humans were already preparing for war. When the meeting ended, Talric returned to the Solaris. As the envoy ship left the hangar, the massive warship remained still, its blue lines pulsing slowly. Talric knew he carried a message that would shake the Emperor's council. The galaxy's balance was about to change. The Imperial Council debated late into the night. Even after Envoy Talric returned from the human warship, fear and skepticism battled in the minds of the Emperor's advisors. The humans had claimed to know of a coming threat, the Vexar, and their technology seemed far beyond anything in Imperial records. Yet some generals refused to believe it. They thought the humans might have returned to dominate the galaxy for themselves. Admiral Kavar, a veteran of countless battles, slammed, his fist lightly on the table. We cannot underestimate them. Captain Raylan's report is clear. They disabled 3 of our cruisers without firing a shot. Our technology was powerless against them. If this is a test, then we have already failed. Minister Sealor added carefully. We must remember that they offer an alliance. They do not attack us. But their power is undeniable. The galaxy will not be the same if we ignore it. The Emperor remained silent for several moments, studying the holographic map of the human warship hovering above the council table. Finally, he spoke. We must see their strength for ourselves. We cannot trust legends alone. Send an Imperial fleet to observe. We will request a controlled demonstration of their capabilities. Within hours, a fleet of 20 Imperial battleships assembled at the edge of the rim. Captain Raylan's Vornax 12 and the envoy ship Solaris joined them. The human warship remained still, its dark hull dominating the black of space. Blue lines pulsed faintly along its surface, as if the ship itself was alive. Commander John's calm presence over the comms reassured the fleet, but there was no mistaking the tension. Every crew knew that the humans were not showing fear. Talric addressed the fleet. Commanders, we approach under peaceful terms. The humans have agreed to demonstrate their systems. They have given us no reason to doubt their intentions, but we are still watching. The human warship responded with a simple acknowledgement. Prepare to witness. Observe carefully. Without warning, the enormous vessel began to move. It did not fire weapons, and yet every Imperial sensor began to register a strange energy field spreading outward. A wave of power passed over the fleet, causing shields to flicker and engines to stutter. It was subtle, yet unmistakable. The Imperial ships remained intact, but their systems were temporarily destabilized. "What is that?" shouted a junior officer aboard one of the battleships. "It is not an attack," Raylan said calmly, though his eyes widened. "They are demonstrating control. They can manipulate energy at a scale we cannot match." Commander John's voice came over the comms again. "Our weapons are inactive. We do not wish harm. You will see the range of our technology, but we act only in observation. Know your place in the galaxy and respect it." The fleet watched as the human warship extended. Massive energy arrays from hidden compartments along its hull. These arrays were unlike any weapon the Empire had catalogued. Instead of firing projectiles, They emitted a field that reached out like invisible fingers, scanning the Imperial ships and surrounding space. Within seconds, each battleship experienced the full effect. Engines stabilized automatically, systems recalibrated, and energy readings balanced without human input. Talric could not hide his astonishment. They are controlling us without touching us. This is beyond anything we imagined. The human ship then demonstrated offensive power. 1. Of the Imperial cruisers located slightly ahead of the fleet was selected for the test. The human warship focused an energy beam that surrounded the cruiser with shimmering light. Within moments, the ship's engines and weapons shut down, completely frozen. Talric and the others expected destruction, but nothing happened. The ship remained intact. Then slowly, the human vessel restored its systems with perfect precision. John's voice echoed through the comms. "We do not destroy. We can, but we choose not to. This is a demonstration. We are patient. We act with purpose." The Imperial Council, monitoring the demonstration remotely, was in shock. Every member understood that their fleets, their weapons, and even their pride were insignificant compared to the humans' power. Admiral Kivar could not stop himself from leaning back in his chair, his face pale. "We cannot fight them, not with anything we have." The human vessel continued its demonstration, extending energy pulses into the surrounding space. Sensors in the fleet detected that the humans could disable individual systems or control multiple ships at once. Every attempt to challenge them was met with calm restraint. They could annihilate fleets, yet they did not. Talric, still aboard the Solaris, finally spoke to Commander John. "Why show us this? You could have destroyed the fleet in seconds," John's calm voice replied. "Because understanding is better than fear. We show you the choice we leave in your hands. The galaxy will change, and you will need to know what power exists. We fight only when necessary." The display of power lasted for several hours. The Imperial fleet learned firsthand that the humans were unmatched in technology and strategy. Every officer aboard the ships felt both awe and fear. There was no anger in John's actions, only quiet authority. The humans were patient, deliberate, and confident in their own ability. At the end of the demonstration, the human warship powered down its energy arrays and returned to a passive stance. Its blue lines dimmed, and it became a dark silhouette against the stars once more. Talric breathed a slow sigh, relief and admiration mixing together. The Imperial fleet remained at a respectful distance. No one moved to challenge or provoke the human vessel. Even Admiral Kivar, who had commanded thousands of soldiers, remained silent. The lesson was clear. These were not myths or legends. They were real, and they were far beyond anything the Empire had faced. Talric sent a report to the Emperor. "The humans have demonstrated their power and restraint. Their technology is beyond our understanding, and their purpose is deliberate. We cannot oppose them. We can only observe, learn, and prepare." The Emperor read the report in silence. Then he spoke to the Council. "The humans are not here to destroy us. They are here to warn us, and they are here to remind us that the galaxy contains powers we cannot ignore. We will act carefully. We will listen, and we will prepare." Captain Raylan, still at the edge of the human warship, watched the display fade. He had been a sailor his entire life, and he had seen many strange things. But this ship, these humans, changed everything he knew about the universe. The galaxy had been quiet for too long. Now, a new force had arrived, and the Empire would never be the same. Talric returned to the Solaris, his mind full of the images from the demonstration. The power of the humans was not just in their weapons, but in their control and their discipline. He realized that this meeting was not only a warning, but a lesson. The Empire would need to adapt or face destruction from what was coming. The human warship remained silent and still, watching the Imperial fleet. Its calm presence radiated authority and patience. Those who had witnessed the demonstration knew that the galaxy had changed forever. The humans had returned, and their power was undeniable. The lesson was clear. Strength without restraint could destroy, but strength with control could shape the fate of the galaxy. The Imperial Council had never faced anything like this. The humans' demonstration of power had left them in awe and fear. Even now, as Captain Raylan watched the dark warship hovering at the edge of Imperial space, he could not stop thinking about the quiet authority of Commander John. The humans had the technology, the discipline, and the knowledge to change the galaxy in ways the Empire had never imagined. Envoy Talric remained at the human ship, working to translate and understand their messages. Today, Commander John had called for a meeting aboard his vessel, an opportunity to explain the coming danger in detail. Talric knew that every word would matter. The Empire's response could decide the survival of billions of lives. "Prepare a transport for the Council's representatives," John said calmly over the comms. "We will show them what approaches. They will understand only by seeing." The Imperial envoy ship carried Talric and 3 Council advisors to the human warship. Inside, the corridors were calm and silent. The air was cool and steady, and the faint blue glow of the hull reflected on the walls, creating a soft light. The humans moved with precision, no unnecessary motion, yet their presence commanded respect. Commander John led them to a large chamber at the center of the vessel. It was wider than any room Talric had ever seen, its walls lined with strange consoles and displays showing stars, systems, and objects beyond known space. In the middle of the room, a holographic projection filled the air. It was not a map of the galaxy, but of something darker, a moving mass beyond the rim, black and shifting, consuming everything in its path. "This," John said, his voice calm but firm, "is the Vexar. They destroy civilizations without warning. They consume planets and fleets alike. They do not negotiate. They do not reason. We fought them once and pushed them back beyond the void, but they are returning. Faster now, stronger now." Talric and the Council advisors leaned closer, studying the projection. The Vexar appeared like shadows crawling through space, their edges flickering with strange energy. Imperial sensors could detect nothing in detail, yet the humans' displays made the threat clear. Entire systems could vanish before the Empire even realized they were under attack. "Why have you come to warn us?" one of the Council advisors asked. "Why now? After so many centuries?" John's eyes met theirs. "We returned when the danger approached. Our scouts confirmed their movement. We can fight them, but we cannot guard the galaxy alone. You have power, fleets, and technology. You can help delay their advance. But you must act quickly. Delay is death. Raylan spoke quietly, unable to hide his concern. We can prepare defenses, but can we truly match them? Even your warship demonstrated more than our fleet can withstand. John did not answer immediately. Instead, he activated another projection. It showed human and Imperial ships moving in formation. In seconds, the Vexar mass approached. Imperial ships fired weapons, yet the attacks barely slowed it. Then, the human warship entered the simulation. With precise maneuvers and energy fields, it blocked the Vexar's advance, protecting the Imperial vessels. Every strike was calculated, every move perfectly timed. Talric watched, his heart racing. They are showing us exactly how to defend ourselves. This is not just power. They are teaching strategy and timing. John nodded. We will fight alongside you, but you must learn quickly. The Vexar's numbers are overwhelming. Delay will cost entire sectors. We will give you time, but you must act with unity and precision. One of the council advisors, a general named Dareth, frowned. Your ships are unmatched, Commander. If the humans leave, we will fall. Why should we trust that you will remain? John's expression did not change. We fight for survival. The Vexar do not spare anyone. It is not about loyalty to one government or another. It is about preserving life. We have waited, observed, and prepared. Now it is your turn to act. Choose wisely. Talric felt the weight of his responsibility. The Empire had never been tested by a threat like this. Their fleets were powerful, their technology advanced, yet against the Vexar they were vulnerable. The humans were offering guidance, training, and strength. It was an opportunity they could not ignore, yet some in the council might still resist. John continued, showing simulations of fleet movements, planetary defenses, and energy shields. Each example revealed tactics the Imperial Navy had never considered. The humans did not simply fight. They calculated, anticipated, and adapted. Their strategy was flexible yet precise, blending technology with intelligence and discipline. This is what we can teach you, John said. If you ignore these lessons, your fleets will fall. The Vexar do not pause. They do not forgive. Every system delayed is a system lost. Talric studied the simulations closely. We need to train our fleets immediately. The Council must authorize exercises, fleet maneuvers, and coordination with your forces. John nodded. We will assist. Our ships will guide your fleets, show formations, and demonstrate control of energy fields. You will learn in weeks what would take decades alone. But time is short. Every day lost increases the danger. Raylan remained silent, but he could feel the tension in his chest. The Empire had always relied on strength and numbers, but the humans were teaching a new form of power, knowledge, precision, and strategy beyond conventional warfare. Talric addressed the council representatives aboard the human ship. We must accept their guidance. Resistance will cost lives. If the Empire fails to act now, the Vexar will strike before we are ready. The council advisors exchanged looks. Some were hesitant, their pride and skepticism fighting against reason. Yet none could deny the evidence. The simulations, the demonstration, and the calm authority of the humans made a powerful argument. John's voice finally broke the silence. "We do not demand loyalty. We demand readiness. Fight with discipline. Fight with wisdom. Fight together. You will survive if you do. You will fall if you do not." The words echoed in the chamber, leaving a weight that could not be ignored. Talric knew that when they returned to the imperial capital, the decision would be difficult. The council would debate, some resisting, some urging immediate action. Yet the reality remained clear. The Vexar were coming, and without the humans' guidance, the Empire could not withstand them. As the Imperial envoy returned to their ship, Talric looked back at the human warship. Its dark hull floated silently in the black of space, its blue lines faintly pulsing. Commander John had not smiled, nor had he spoken lightly. He had presented a warning, a plan, and a choice. The Empire could survive if it accepted the humans. Guidance, but failure meant annihilation. Raylan remained on the edge of Imperial space, observing. He knew that the calm strength of the human ship was more than technology. It was confidence earned over centuries. They had returned not as conquerors, but as protectors, willing to fight for the survival of the galaxy. The Empire had been warned, and now the true challenge was beginning. The Vexar were moving, and the galaxy had no time to waste. The galaxy held its breath. Imperial fleets and human warships moved together for the first time, their formations stretching across thousands of kilometers of empty space. The Vexar, dark and relentless, were already advancing through uncharted systems. Every sensor aboard the Imperial and human vessels picked up the same signals: massive energy readings, objects moving faster than any conventional ship, and the eerie silence of a predator that showed no mercy. Captain Raylan stood on the bridge of Vornax 12, watching as the human warship, dark and immense, glided beside the fleet. Its glowing blue lines pulsed with life and confidence. The humans had trained the Imperial officers, showing them new strategies, new ways to use energy shields, and the coordination of fleets on a scale they had never imagined. Raylan could see the difference. The Imperial fleet was no longer scattered or hesitant. It moved like a single organism, guided by the wisdom of the humans. Envoy Talric, aboard the human ship with Commander John, coordinated the communication. Blinks! Every fleet captain could now speak to every other in real time, understanding the humans' instructions and following precise movements. "Attention all units," John's voice echoed across the channels. "The Vexar approach. They are fast, intelligent, and without mercy. Remember your training. Trust your allies. Focus on defense first, then strike in coordination. We will fight together. We will survive together." The first Vexar ships appeared as dark streaks on the sensors. Their forms were irregular, like floating shards of black crystal. Energy readings spiked as they approached. Raylan felt a chill run through him. The myths, the warnings, the simulations, all of it became real in this moment. "Ready weapons and shields," Admiral Kivar ordered. "Do not fire until we have a clear plan. Follow the humans' guidance." The human warship moved first. Without firing, it extended massive energy fields that rippled across the void. The Vexar advanced, but the fields slowed them, forcing their movement into predictable paths. Imperial ships followed, aligning with the humans' positions. Talric monitored the communications. They are guiding us like a conductor with an orchestra. Each movement is synchronized. This is unlike any battle formation we have used before. The Vexar struck first. Energy blasts surged toward the fleet. Imperial shields flared and held. Then the human ship's energy grids activated, redirecting and absorbing much of the attack, transferring the energy safely across the fleet. No ship was destroyed. The Imperials watched in astonishment as the humans neutralized the attack without firing a single shot. "This is incredible," Raylan muttered. "They are fighting without fighting." The Vexar regrouped, sending multiple waves toward the Imperial line. Commander John's strategy became clear. Imperial ships, once used to brute strength and heavy firepower, now acted with precision. They moved like clockwork, their weapons timed to the humans' guidance. Each strike was calculated, each maneuver exact. The Vexar attacks, overwhelming in theory, were countered efficiently. Talric spoke urgently to the fleet. "Concentrate on the gaps they create. Strike in harmony. Trust the humans' commands. Target weak points as indicated. This is our first engagement, but we must act as one." The first Imperial ship struck. Energy beams fired in synchronization targeting. The Vexar holes at the points highlighted by the human warship. The Vexar screamed in strange resonance, their dark forms fracturing under the precise assault. Imperial officers watched in disbelief as the ships they had always thought vulnerable now became weapons of devastating effect under the humans. Guidance. Raylan gripped the controls, maneuvering Vornax 12 according to the humans' instructions. Every move was deliberate, every shot coordinated. They had trained for this, and now their preparation was proving itself. Imperial fleet and human warship were no longer separate entities. They were a single force, united in purpose. "Keep the lines tight," John's calm voice echoed. "Do not overextend. Protect each other. Every system matters." The battle continued for hours. Vexar waves came relentlessly, but each time, the combined human Imperial fleet adapted. Shields absorbed attacks, energy beams struck with precision, and the humans' mastery over space-time energy grids prevented damage that would have destroyed entire cruisers. Talric watched the displays and realized the truth. This is more than technology. This is the humans' experience, their knowledge of war itself. They anticipate every move before it happens. That is why they survived, and that is why we are surviving now. Raylan focused on one of the Vexar's largest forms, a massive shard that threatened to break the fleet's center. Following John's instructions, the Imperial ships encircled the Vexar vessel. Energy fields locked it in place, then coordinated. Volleys from the fleet, perfectly timed, shattered its hull. The Vexar mass flickered and disintegrated, leaving a trail of darkness that slowly faded into space. A cheer went up across the Imperial ships, though muted by the reality of the ongoing battle. The humans did not celebrate. They moved to the next point of attack, guiding the fleet relentlessly. Hours passed, but the Imperials learned more with every encounter. Each Vexar wave was met with skill, strategy, and perfect coordination. By nightfall in the system, the fleet had driven the first major wave of Vexar back, pushing them toward the void beyond the rim. Imperial commanders looked at each other in disbelief. They had won a battle they thought impossible. Raylan turned to Talric. We would have lost everything without them. Their knowledge, their control, their patience, it saved us. Talric nodded. They have not only shown us strength, but also unity. We fight together, or we fall apart. The human warship, calm and dark, hovered among the Imperial vessels. Its glowing blue lines pulsed softly, a reminder of the power and discipline behind them. Commander John spoke to Talric privately. This is only the beginning. The Vexar will return in greater numbers. We will need the Empire to be ready. But today, we have shown them the way. Talric understood. The humans had returned to protect, to teach, and to guide. The Empire had learned that its strength alone was not enough. Survival would require cooperation, humility, and trust. Rollin looked at the stars ahead, still scattered with remnants of the Vexar forces. The galaxy is no longer safe, but at least we have a chance. John's voice echoed over the comms. We fight for survival. Remember this day. Remember that we can endure if we stand together. The Vexar are relentless, but united, even the greatest darkness can be held back. The Imperial Council would hear the full report soon. Talric knew that debates would continue, but the proof was clear. The humans had returned, and they had not come as conquerors. They had come as protectors. They had come to remind the galaxy that strength without wisdom could be deadly, but strength with patience, knowledge, and unity could change the course of history. For the first time in centuries, the Imperial fleet and a human warship moved as one. The Vexar were out there, waiting, but the galaxy had learned a new truth. Humanity, long thought lost, had returned, and with them came hope. The stars stretched infinitely ahead, and for the first time in generations, the Empire did not feel alone. Together, they would face the darkness, and together, they would survive. The war for the galaxy had begun, and the humans had shown the way.